Hello and welcome to Community Connections. I'm Kevin, Communications Specialist with the North Little Rock Public Library. And today I'm joined by Jennifer Chilcoat. She's with the Arkansas State Library. Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Appreciate
Thanks.
you
Thanks
being
for
here
having me,
today.
Kevin.
So many things I want to ask you. First of all, we talk about the Arkansas State Library. Well, what is your title? Because I understand you've got more than one. So let's work that through.
I do have one. The one that I use so that people actually kind of understand what I do is director of the Arkansas State Library. But my favorite is one for people who are in the know. And I am the Arkansas State Librarian, which I think is just about, for a library person, that's about the coolest title you can have.
Probably so. That's a lot of responsibility, though. So let's talk about the Arkansas State Library, because I think that a lot of people may not even know it exists. And so I can say that before I ever started the library, I didn't know there was such a thing. So what is the Arkansas State Library and how do we use that?
Right. Kevin, it's funny you should say that because I always tell people I've got the best job you've never heard of. And I didn't know, even when I became a librarian and I got a master's degree and all of that, I still didn't really know much about what state libraries do. But every state in our union does have a state library, and they do different things. Some things they do alike. There are lots of commonalities, but then each one of them is a little bit unique. At our state library, one of the key things that we do is that we provide supports to lots of libraries around the state, especially public libraries, but also academic libraries, school libraries, and so forth. So we try to do a lot of things that benefit every type of library.
Sure.
But we provide a whole lot of support to public libraries. That is, we provide them with lots of training. Sometimes we get federal money and we send them supplies. For example, this past summer, you may have seen a lot of yard signs out advertising Oceans of Possibilities, which was our summer reading theme. A lot of those came with the help and the ordering from the Arkansas State Library.
Okay.
And we passed those around. So just all kinds of things, training for their boards of trustees and all sorts of things like that. Another really cool thing that we do that I wish more people knew about is that we have Arkansas's only library for the blind and print disabled.
Okay.
So that means if you live in our state and you have difficulty because of your vision or because just there's a problem with you being able to hold a book. And I always use the example, my mother has Parkinson's disease. And so she shakes rather badly, and it's difficult for her to hold a book. If you've ever had tried to read a book while it was actually moving, you know that it will almost give you motion sickness. So sitting still for a while and reading a book is not an option for her. And for anyone who meets any of those qualifications, also including things like dyslexia and other sort of, I think they're called organic difficulties with reading, we offer free recorded books or Braille books for those people who use them. And we ship those all around the state. And there are sort of little cartridges that we mail out, but there's also an app that you can have on your phone if you qualify for the service, and you get free books read by professional readers.
Wow.
It's a very cool program.
And that's one of the things that I think that is a very amazing thing that is taken for granted with a lot of libraries, that if you have a disability, whether it's a hearing disability, vision disability, or otherwise, the libraries are going to, at the best of their ability, try to accommodate you no matter what, even if you're shut in. I know here at the North Little Rock Public Library, we do home delivery. So we'll take things out into the community if it's needed for whatever reason. And it doesn't have to be permanent. It could be something where you're like sick and got out of the hospital, you're home for a month.
Right.
We'll bring books to you. And I think that's really cool. Do you guys support that too? Do you work on that level?
That's interesting. We don't actually have the kind of collection that a public library would have as far as books. We do have a collection. It used to get used a lot more when we were housed in a different location where we had more foot traffic.
Sure. Where are you guys now?
Okay, right now we are at the corner of Chester and Capitol in Little Rock.
Okay.
Used to be a Dillard's building there for old timers from Little Rock. And then if you're a super old timer, probably in your 80s or older, I think there was a Southern Bell building there or a telephone company building there.
Good deal. It's Jennifer Chilcoat, and she is with the Arkansas State Library, and she's here on Community Connections today. When we talk about the Arkansas State Library, in my head, I'm thinking record keeping, things that might be of importance somewhere down the line. Is that something that you guys do also?
You are not off base with that.
Okay.
We collect and help with research on state and federal documents. And so there's a little thing written into the state rules, which are kind of like laws, but just a little bit different, sort of the ways that you're supposed to operate when you're a state agency. And we have something written into the rules that says every state agency that produces something that is meant to be read or heard or seen by the public, we need to get a copy of that at the state library. So we have
a lot.
Thank you for rescuing me there. Yes, so much. And so we have really just a whole big bunch of documents. And our big thing is the state documents, because that's not duplicated. You know, some of the federal documents, you know, there may be libraries in Washington State or in Massachusetts that have those same things, but we're the only ones who have those state documents. We take that very seriously.
Very important to record keeping in Arkansas.
That's
Does
correct.
this involve the legislature? Does it involve the Supreme Court of the state? Does it involve, when you talk about the agencies, Game and Fish, all of those come
all
together?
of that,
or?
all of that,
Okay.
yeah. AG's opinions, educational reports, like you said, Game and Fish, agricultural reports, all of it.
Okay. Just curious about
We
that.
sometimes have to go knocking on their door and say, hey, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to see that. The librarian with the badge. That's not, not a good thing.
It's a scary thing.
It's Jennifer Chilcoat. This is Community Connections. I'm Kevin. When we talk about the records, I mean, at some point in time, I mean, you have a finite storage. Do you keep a lot of these online, or do you keep them actually where I can go in and peel through books and see these, or how does that work?
Right. We have a digitization unit, which a lot of people can't say, but, and we are working on digitizing a lot of these state documents that maybe they arrive to us in paper form and nobody's really, you know, the issuing agencies, for example, you know, the Department of Agriculture or Game and Fish or whatever,
Sure.
They're not necessarily interested in digitizing those if they're not using them on a regular basis. But we are interested in making sure that digital copies of those are available. So yes, we do quite a bit with that.
Now, back to kind of the support to the local libraries, be it educational, academic libraries, or be it the local public libraries. You mentioned that Oceans of Possibilities was a summer reading program.
Right.
How do you come up with that idea? Is it voted on by the libraries themselves? This is what we want to do. We all agree to this, or how does that come out, and how does it go out to be supportive of those local communities?
That is one of those behind the scenes things that I never knew about until I got to the state library.
Sure.
It is decided by something that is called I believe it is called the CSLP, the Cooperative Summer Learning Project.
Okay.
So the theme is decided on at a national level, and libraries get that information in late summer or early fall of the year before the program.
Okay.
And I'm not
Gotta have time
exactly
to
sure.
prepare.
They do have time to prepare.
Librarians are going to do their research, I promise you. So.
Right. And I think, although I'm not able to report on it because my memory's not that good, I think that it's already been decided for summer of 2023. But that does give libraries time to make those plans, to line up appropriate presenters. And also importantly, everybody likes that swag that you get from your library when you sign up for the summer reading program.
Sure. Yeah.
And they could be, you know, little stickers, or it could be t-shirts or whatever. It gives the vendors, the companies that make those things, time to create the swag that the libraries buy that they give to the kids in the summertime, and even to grown-ups in some cases.
You know, it's interesting because if you're really not using your local library, of course, we want you to use the North Little Rock Public Library System, our Lehman and Argenta locations. But if you're not, wherever you are and you're watching this, utilize the resources they have, because there's so many activities that this was the first year I really had to see it come together. And the kids that come through, they have fun, they learn. Sometimes they don't even realize they're learning things, and it's just great. And plus, if you're a parent, you know, kids on board, this helps resolve some of that.
Oh, that's the
that
bane of
too.
every parent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There are only so many times you can say to your kid, like I said to mine, only boring people get bored, and then finally their eyes just roll straight out of their head.
Yeah,
and
I've said that a million times. I've heard this already. Yeah, I know how this goes. So,
exactly.
what are some of the things that are on the horizon for Arkansas libraries as a whole? What are you looking to do to try to improve access and try to improve information for our libraries around the state?
Well, one of the things that you mentioned, that digitization, that's a really big push that we're making. We know that's obviously, it's been said so many times, it's the wave of the future. It's how people want to access. And that actually makes access to information more equitable. You don't really think about that too much. You think, oh, well, anybody can come to the library and look at it. But, we serve the entire state. And so if someone in Fayetteville or someone in Pocahontas or Calhoun County needs to access some of that stuff, it's not as equitable for them to access it as is for someone in Little Rock.
Much more difficult.
So we're working on that, definitely. And we've had an opportunity with a lot of these pandemic funds that have come through. And so that's a big push that we've been making in the past couple of years, really, is to find constructive ways to use that money to help with our facilities is one of the important pushes, to help with safety and also just to help with things like workforce preparation, workforce, building up the. I'm sorry, building up the workforce in Arkansas.
Yeah, and very key to new jobs. Very key to industry coming to the state.
Yes.
Understandable. Yeah, great investment in what we want to do. This is Jennifer Chilcoat, and she's with the Arkansas State Library. And okay, if I want to access, because our library does have books, but it has so many other things too. But your library not that way. Now, do I have to have any special credentials to access what's there at the state library, or can I just walk in the door and say, Kevin, "Hey, Jennifer, what can I come look at this?" Okay.
But the way that we operate things at the state library is that we provide some of these resources to the libraries around the state. For example, at the Lehman Library, which is also my home library, even though I work in Little Rock, I live in North Little Rock. Thank you very much. For example, we offer a lot of databases. We call it the Traveler Program.
Okay.
But what happens is, instead of people having to come to our website to access those, they go to the Lehman Library website and they access it through Lehman Library's webpage.
Okay, here's a plug. If you have not accessed the North Little Rock Public Library website, nlrlibrary.org, go there, because you have so many resources online, not just research at the Arkansas State Library, but you can learn crafts. You can learn history, you can learn genealogy, you can learn a new language. I mean, it's just endless. You can check out books, music, and more. So go do that. Thank you.
And I am going to make sure that I get this in because it's so important. I was talking about the pandemic money. One of the things that we were able to do is to purchase access to a database called Learning Express. And I talked about workforce development, which is the word I was looking for a moment ago, but also
I wanted to help you with that.
Thank you. Yeah. School curriculum, ACT or SAT prep, all of those things. The ASVAB, which is the Armed Services pre-test, civil service exams. All of this is on Learning Express. And Learning Express is available through the North Little Rock Library's website at the I'm still calling it Lehman, but you guys have had a little.
Is that like and I'm going to lose my word here for this too. Is that like a pre-test, or is that like a simulator for some of these tests? Can you use
a little bit? Yes, not like a flight simulator, but it is. You can actually take real tests, real ACT tests, real SAT, civil service, praxis for people who are teachers, and trying to think. Maybe even like driving tests, like the driving test.
Oh, that's cool. I've got a teen I need to set that up with.
Oh, gosh.
This is Community Connections. I'm Kevin, Communications Specialist. This is Jennifer Chilcoat, and she's here with the Arkansas State Library. Real quick, since you're from North Little Rock, a little bit about you. How long have you lived in the city? How did you get started with this? And tell me about your family.
Okay, so I live in North Little Rock. I have lived in this area for 30 it'll be 32 years.
Okay.
I came straight out of graduate school. I had gotten my master's in library science.
Okay.
Took the first job I got because I was flat broke, let me tell you. And so I came to Little Rock, interviewed for a job, got it the same day, and went home and packed the U-Haul. And I've been here ever since. I love
Where are you
it
from
here.
originally?
I am originally from East Tennessee, from the
Okay.
Knoxville area.
We'll allow it. We'll
Yeah.
allow it. Okay.
So I'm married. I have a son who's a senior in high school. We are all college applications all the time right
Yep.
now.
We're the whole thing too. Same
But
thing.
we just have a great community here. I got into libraries sort of by accident, just by realizing I could make it a long story, but the short story is I finally realized that one thing I love to do is to help people find answers to their questions. And once that light bulb went off, it truly was a light bulb moment. I was just out one day, somebody asked me a question, I gave them the answer, and I thought, oh my gosh, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And it was just like that. And I've been so happy. Like I said, this is, I've got the best job that you've never heard of.
Well, I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you coming in and for the opportunity to find out more about the Arkansas State Library. And the invitation is here for you to come back if you'd like to.
All right. I'd love to. Thank you
Jennifer,
for
it's
having
a
me,
pleasure
Kevin.
to have you. Jennifer Chilcoat, she's with the Arkansas State Library. And thank you so much for watching Community Connections.